So we're like, oh man, this is really something special. So when she obviously had to deny, you know, she could not be a part of it. She was just sharing a piece that she was working on. But at the same time, it was such a fascinating story. Shortly after that, when I was composing the next film for him, I was like, I would like to see that full project come to fruition. So actually, that was kind of the inspiration for this programming. So she has been diligently working on this right up to the last minute, of course. It is, as per any film, you set a goal, you have to hit your goal, but it is, you are raising something, nurturing it, sculpting it. There's so many adjectives you can say about filmmaking, but it's both painful and wonderful at the same time. I guess it's kind of, I don't have children, but I'm sure it's like raising children. Am I correct? My mother, who's in the audience, who doesn't. She's nodding. She doesn't. Anyway, I can only imagine it being as difficult as that. I love my films. I love creating things. I love sharing them at the end, but it is always difficult. So anyway, she has given this to us. We are the first people to see it. This is a premiere. And then we're going to have a conversation with the filmmaker, ask questions about the event. I'm going to hand this over to our good friend Zan, who will take over the hosting things from there. And then let me just tell you a little bit about our guest host, and I'm going to hand over. Yep, this is it. They'll read this, and you can talk to about it. Go for it. All right. I was just gonna say how cool you were, and that we are appreciative of her showing an interest in. Zan is a comedian and an auctioneer. She does a lot of different charity work. She grew up here in Indianapolis. She is now a jet setter that goes all over the world doing different auctions. She brings comedy and interactivity. She's a professional in all levels. We were throwing these things together, making her films. She's like, I need more information. I want to see the movie. She's actually going to be seeing it when we show it because we ran to the deadline. So, but she's a pro, so she will be able to handle this. And then she's going to learn and talk about Project Pinball and its goals and share commentary as we discuss the filmmaking process with them. And so I'm going to hand this over to her because she is the professional. And yeah, hosting duties. So this is Zan.
All right. Well, James did an amazing job of introducing the documentary that we're going to show, which was my job. And he did a great job of introducing me, which also was my job. So I'm just here to get closer to my jacket and say hi for 30 seconds. I'm Zan Ofterhide. I have placed myself here because I'm a fundraiser. When I met James and Emoto, they need to raise money. They love pinball. I raise money. I love pinball. So I was like, whatever you're doing, I want to be a part of it. So really, without much further ado, let's introduce this documentary by Emoto Harney. She's speaking with Daniel Spoler, who's in the crowd with us right here, our celebrity from Project Pinball right there, and we're going to be able to chat with them afterwards. So, without any further ado, let's just go ahead and watch the movie that we're all here for. Yeah. Okay.
She really wanted her jacket.
Tyler was 29 years old. He had mono, and he was then later diagnosed with AML, acute myeloid leukemia. And through that diagnosis, we quickly, within a couple of days, he was admitted, and he underwent 6 weeks of extensive chemotherapy. It was a long process. It was very arduous. 6 weeks in the hospital, and he did end up in remission, of which we were very, very grateful. I'm Connie Van Pelt, and I'm the mom of Tyler Van Pelt.
I'm his dad, Doug.
One of the great healing things in that process is exercise. And there was an exercise bike and there was a treadmill, but oftentimes you really didn't even have the energy to get up and walk to the doorway of your bedroom. But patients were encouraged every day to get out and walk. And so it was many, many hours of a very long circular walk around the floor. And you would meet other cancer warriors on the floor, IV poles in hand, and around in this circular circuit they would go, working on gaining strength and just being up. Tyler was just a really outgoing, very social guy, and one of the roles that he sort of saw for himself was he was kind of a cheerleader for all the other patients, and he loved to stop and socialize and kind of give a high five when the energy was there, but the monotony was always pretty constant. Walking as best you could. And he also had insight into the idea of pinball, that you're standing, that cognitively you're watching, you're using your hands, you're kind of getting exercise and you don't even really realize that you're exercising your brain and your reflexes and all of these components that chemo can impact so severely in that setting. So it really, it really took me back because it was like, that's a great idea. I would have never occurred to me that pinball would have a place in a hospital, but I think it was genius.
So here's now an activity that's stimulus response, interesting sights and sounds, doesn't require a lot of prior knowledge, and we were really struck by how smart it was when he made the suggestion.
We were so excited about the idea of placing a pinball machine on the hospital floor, and the hospital seemed to be very enthusiastic as well. And then we started learning a little bit more that machines need to be maintained. They would need to have someone available to service it if there was a malfunction, and that then became a question for us, who would you find to do that? And so it was really exciting when we had a connection and an outreach with Project Pinball and came to understand that, hey, this is part of our organization, that we find the machine, we get it tuned up and ready, make sure it's appropriate, got all the okays from the hospital that they're on board, and then we're going to be there and we're going to be available to keep this thing going. So that was very exciting because that truly is the legacy piece, that not only did we find the machine through Pinball, Project Pinball, but they're going to make sure that it's up and running and continues to be that way for the patients that follow.
Project Pinball helps rehabilitation.
For a kid that's in a hospital, you're playing a pinball machine, and for the time being, you don't have to really think about where you are or what you're doing. You're focused solely on playing pinball.
You know, pinball can be fun, but it can also be therapeutic because slamming that ball around when you're angry sure does make you feel a little bit better.
You know what, one thing I like about it, it makes them move. Laps around the wards is replaced to a lap down to the pinball machine and standing for an hour.
They have to use both hands. You kind of find yourself when you're playing pinball moving into it to play.
And so the kids can come in here, number one, stand, the ones that are having that issue, but they can still hold on, so they get that strengthening. And then they're using both hands and eye and watching. So it's going to be a great non-therapy therapy. And having a good time.
Pinball's great because it's lights, it's sounds, and you're so focused on getting that ball and hitting that target and getting those points that you're really not thinking about why you're in the hospital. You're able to distract your time away a little bit
Pinball is a way to get your mind for the moment off of whatever is happening in your personal life. Even if it is a bad situation, having to be in a hospital, seeing a pinball machine can make it all better.
I just want to give back any way that I can. And my passion for pinball, I think, was a great partner for, this giving. I had difficult times with my children growing up, and we had ups and downs. We had visits to children's hospitals. And as a parent, I knew how it felt to have your world change in a heartbeat. So if we could introduce something that could help, maybe relieve stress for a couple minutes, to help them relax and not be scared of a process that they don't know about. Kids just be kids. I think that's important to give back that way. You see these kids walk up to the pinball machine for the first time, and it could be a foreign object. And then all of a sudden they start the machine and they plunge the ball. And it's pretty unique to see the transformation, to see these kids from being fearful of this unknown element, and they just gravitate to it. So if they could take a couple moments, away from reality, even if it's only a couple minutes, just to escape, maybe it will help them revive, their energy. It's well worth it.
Project Pinball helps rehabilitation.
The ultimate goal, I would say, of Project Pinball is to place as many pinball machines as we can throughout the United States in children's hospitals and Ronald McDonald houses.
So it's been an amazing journey so far. We were at Southwest Florida's Golisano Children's. Our very own Spider-Man pinball machine, which was the original pinball machine that initiated the entire idea of Project Pinball Charity. And today was a very, very, very special one-of-a-kind dedication, a rededication of the machine that began our mission. It had been played to its furthest extent, and it actually worked out with timing, us taking the machine out. We repaired it, we put on some new mods, a color DMD display, and then we wheeled it straight up in the elevator and up to the unit where we were dedicating. And then, we did meet and greet with the doctors, nurses, talked about why we were there and how happy we were to be there and how grateful we were to have our program in that hospital. And then it finished off amazingly with pizza and actually a couple patients coming to play pinball. So it was actually really beautiful today.
I'm Daniel Spoler. I'm from Project Pinball Charity Group. This Spider-Man is very special to us because it's a rededication of this machine. This machine, I can't stress it enough, started our charity. We didn't think of this charity saying, hey, we're going to put pinball machines because I love pinball. It was because we seen how it was therapeutic for you guys, and we said, let's do this. Well, back in November of 2011, a friend of mine was taking a tour of the oncology ward of Golisano's Children's Hospital and seen a pinball machine that was broken in the corner. When she inquired about it, they told her that they were looking for someone to repair this machine for about 6 to 8 months that they were searching. So she pretty much gave them my number to contact me because I was working on pinball machines as a serious hobby, I guess. So when I went up there, I seen that it was a Stern Spider-Man. So I knew that the machine wasn't that old. It was only 4 years old at this time. But I started looking at it close, and a lot of parts were broken. Rubbers were missing off the playing field. It was pretty much non-operational. So I got into the audits, and I seen that it had over 21,000 plays in less than 3 years, which was amazing to me. Seen the plaque that was dedicated to Jimmy. Jimmy passed away when he was 11 years old. And as soon as we seen that, I have kids, I have grandkids now, and it really, put the fire underneath us to get this back to you guys, because we knew that it was a memorial to Jimmy's name, because his parents bought this machine for you guys because of the help that he received while he was here. So that was very important. But the charity was not formed at that moment just because we found the machine. It was because of all you guys coming up and saying how much you needed it, how much the parents needed it. Now we're 32 pinball strong across the United States, all because of this pinball machine. These dedications are important to everybody. We work so hard to, come to this point, and we want it to be received in the best light that we can. We want them to have the passion that maybe for pinball that we do. Maybe to help them, in the dark time of their lives.
Tyler had a relapse and came down actually with the flu that became pneumonia, and that attacked his immune system. And in the diagnosis or the treatment for the pneumonia, the blood tests revealed that the cancer, the leukemia, had returned. And so he lost his life pretty quickly. And this was about 9 months ago. And we hadn't really thought about the pinball machine until he passed. And we're in the grieving process, thinking of various different ways that he can be remembered. A plaque or a bench in a park, that kind of thing. And Connie remembered the conversation that they had about the pinball machine, and kind of bounced the idea off some of his peers and his friends, and everyone seemed to agree that that would be a good tribute, and put not just his memory, but put it to work to help people.
OHSU, the local hospital here, we contacted them, and they were so enthusiastic about wanting to work with Project Pinball and also to recognize and honor Tyler.
Even though he appreciated the care he received, Tyler wanted to spend as much time as possible at home, not in the hospital. However, when he was admitted to our unit, he was always trying to come up with ways in which he could make it better, more fun, more inviting to others, more of an area of socialization and encouragement, more like home. Many times while in our care, Tyler suggested about how we could improve our cancer unit. Including his suggestions was that we should have a pinball machine on 14K so that people could have fun, join together, build a community. Perhaps patients could forget for a moment that they have cancer. Instead, perhaps the patients could unite together and enjoy themselves. And it was a call from Connie Van Pelt. She was reaching out to me because she was dealing with her son's loss. Just recent. At that time, it was only a couple weeks old. And I could hear the strain in her voice, but she wanted to fulfill Tyler's dream to place a pinball machine in the hospital where he received treatment. And at that point, we knew that we had to do everything that we could to make Tyler's dream come true.
So there's a logo for the Project Pinball, and you're in it to win it. Live well, laugh hard, love big. A gift from Tyler G. Van Pelt, February 2019.
That's so perfect. One of the things that Tyler often would say during his treatment was, "I'm in it to win it." And in his personality and how he lived his life. He was a very positive person. Had a big voice, had a big laugh. It's kind of one of the things people often talk about Tyler. Very outgoing, very social guy. But his friends, particularly at the memorial, it was quite touching that they all shared stories.
About how he, no matter what their situation was, he found a way to encourage them. If they were striving in a new job or in a relationship or having some difficulty or whatever, Tyler was always there to give words of encouragement.
Always very positive.
And this came out, many of the patients that were being treated on his floor spoke about how supportive and encouraging he was.
There's so many things that are special about this dedication. Just the impact that it serves. But this is a highlight for Project Pinball as well. This is going to be our 40th dedication. To know that we served Tyler's memory in the family's wishes to the T, to the finest detail. I want them to have maybe the release that they were looking for, maybe some closure to help them with their lives, you know, of their loss. So I have tremendous hope that it could serve that purpose.
In it to win it. Live well, laugh hard, love big. Tyler Van Pelt. Seems like a flipper should be flipping. Okay, all right.
That's a good shot.
It was a goal.
One more.
Oh, that's right. Well, the pressure's on now.
Soccer ball going.
I could feel my trouble slip away.
I think that for anyone that's experienced loss, and our son was 32 when he passed away. You know, the grief is just a walk that is unimaginable. We all know that, and it really is comforting to see this dream of his come to life. I'm proud. I'm always proud of him, but it opens my heart with pride. And I just think it's really full circle for all the things that Tyler was, that he was a cheerleader for other patients. He was a very upbeat, positive, happy guy. He would be thrilled to know that it brings joy. It's going to be an ongoing legacy. It's not just tomorrow. It goes on and on and on. And I think the joy and the support, the opportunity for people to socialize, to heal, all by playing pinball. And I think Tyler would be really, really proud.
Moto, are you coming up? Yep. Daniel, you coming up? All right, so we're going to bring them up to the stage, and while they're coming up to the stage, I just want to tell you what we're going to do right now is do sort of just a question and answer period of time. So this is an interactive portion of the afternoon. I'm going to start off with some questions for them. Watching that documentary, this is the first time I've watched it as well. It's the first time you all watched it together. Reminds me of why I do what I do, is that life is really hard and we all face challenges, but if you can take that challenge and that hardship in your life and do something positive with it, it can shine a really bright line around I guess, what do they call that? The silver lining around a cloud for a lot of other people. So you take your hardship and you turn it into something good for humanity, and that's what you guys have done, and I really applaud you. Can we have another round of applause for them? What they're doing? Very cool. So now I've learned a little bit more about Project Pinball since I've gotten to know the two of you, and there's an aspect of Project Pinball that wasn't represented in this that I want to talk about, which is the raffles and how to support
That's the fun part.
Yeah, how to support Project Pinball, because I think everybody's on board that it's a good idea to put pinball machines in children's hospitals. That's a no-brainer, right? Right. But how does it happen? Where do you get the funding for it? And how can somebody be a part of that?
Well, the raffles was a program that I wanted to help, get pinball out there. And I have a hard time going out there asking people for money directly. So this was a combination of the two coming together. So what we do is we hold these raffles for brand new pinball machines, and we keep the odds really low. So it works out to a 50-50 raffle for the charity, where we could actually buy the prize that's being given away, which is a brand new pinball machine by these manufacturers, and then we're able to buy a pinball machine with our 50%. So it really helps our charity move along.
So basically they do it like almost once a month, or sometimes all the time. You just go to projectpinball.org, and it's like $65 or something like that for a ticket, and then you're a 1 in 200 chance to win an awesome brand new in box pinball machine. And man, it's super special. And they have a list of all the winners too, and I'm like, I know that guy. What is my chance to win? Sort of thing. It's really fun, and then you're giving back at the same time. So nothing to lose.
People that won never owned a pinball machine before, so this is their first one. So we're starting their collection off. As everybody in the pinball community agrees with me, you can't just own one. So it starts, your obsession to, tame the silver ball. I mean, look at the 3 machines here that we have in this room. They play completely different, and it's just a great hobby to be in. So we're able to jumpstart their hobbies.
And remind me when you started Project Pinball again?
Back in, it was November 12th of 2011. 2011,
all right. And what do you have coming up in the future in the next, where do you see Project Pinball going? What's in the next, what do you think? 2 to 5 year projection to the future? Where's Project Pinball
going? Okay, in the movie, we're at 32, and then with that dedication, it was our 40th machine. And right now, we're at 62. So we haven't stopped, since we filmed that. We're continuing to grow. With the pandemic hitting everybody, we weren't sure how our charity would be able to interact with the community. But we found out that the hospital personnel had a lot of free time on their hands, especially the children's hospital. They were putting off treatments and surgeries until they could find out exactly how to set up a protocol for their families to be safe. It allowed them to have that time to reach out to us, and they were actually putting together a campaign for us in the year 2020. While the pandemic was going on, they showed us how to interact with them in their setting. So we actually dedicated 7 machines in December of 2020 in 15 days.
Wow.
And it's not in one location. If you look at our charity, we travel and migrate from coast to coast, from Maine to Florida, from New York to California. And so for us to do 7 dedications in 15 days, each evening we were in a different city. And it was like, we were locked away because with the pandemic going on, we wanted to make sure that, we were ultra safe with masks. And, it's a different kind of setting, but when it came down to it, we were still providing what we needed to for these families. They were still in the hospital. They were returning at that time for their treatment. So our charity succeeded in some of the darkest times that, I've been through.
That's pretty amazing, because a lot of people weren't even going outside. Yeah. And there you are traveling the entire country, going into hospitals of all places and bringing some light into them. That's pretty amazing. So if somebody in here wanted to get a Project Pinball into their local hospital, what would you suggest for them to do?
That's a fantastic question, because that's why we're here. We want to communicate on how our charity operates and the impact that it has. And so these conversations are local, and we talked to like Dog earlier from Wizard World, and said that he could actually do fundraisers here. 100% of the money that they raise for their fundraiser stays local here. So by him, having his passion for pinball and family and see the two come together, we could actually reach into this community here and, help our charity grow and help those families through pinball. So it's by having those conversations, people could come up to us. What we're looking for is contacts in the local community.
And what are those contacts specifically? Like, is there a person out of hospital with like a title?
The easiest ones are child life specialists, because their role in that setting is to take care of the families. They're not administering medication or their programs. They're just there to make sure that the family's receiving the care that they need and how they're reacting to their treatments in the setting. They even go as far as, and I love these guys, as you can tell, they even go in with the siblings and educate them on maybe a machine that their brother or sister would be, introduced to during their stay. So it's not a scary thing where the child is focused on this piece of machinery that's foreign to them. So they do a great education. I love these people. So when I talk about the therapeutic properties of a pinball machine, they get it, they understand it. Their whole concept is to, remove the scariness out of a setting that could be uncontrollable for a family. And so a pinball machine offers that. It's so therapeutic. So we love child life specialists. We talk to administrators, CEOs, maybe a volunteer. So if anybody knows anybody in the local community, not only children's hospitals, but Ronald McDonald House, we're in those as well.
Anything other than like so Ronald McDonald House and children's hospitals and any other places that you're thinking about branching out and putting them?
Sure. We Children's Hospital was phase 1. Ronald McDonald was phase 2. We're up to phase 5. We received a lot of older donated games that might not be of family value because they were made in the 70s, 80s.
Be careful, I was made in the 70s.
So what we do is if we have the opportunity, we put them in a retirement community. So these
retirement community. Yeah. I love it. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
We do that as well. And you should see them light up because they recognize this machine that we're bringing in from their childhood or teen
From my
years.
childhood. It was
That's
supposed to
the
be
next documentary.
That's really cool. I love that because, I've had to spend a decent amount of time in the retirement homes, and if there was something like that to do with your parent, that would be awesome. If there was an activity like that, that's a no-brainer. That's fantastic.
Well, some of the quickest dedications that we had was at the retirement homes. Because, they didn't want me up there talking about who we were. They wanted to move me aside. I'm not kidding. They're like, okay, that's enough. We want to play. And I didn't have to introduce, gameplay to them. They already knew. So I just stood back and, watched them.
That is so cool. So how many retirement homes do you have pinball machines in?
Just 2 right now.
Just 2? Okay, cool.
We're working on that. As you can tell, this is 80-hour plus work week for us, and I have our dedicated crew back there as well.
And tell us about your crew. How many people? Yeah, round of applause to the crew.
We have Brad.
How many people do you have on staff? And are they all here?
On staff, we keep it really basic. We only have 3 people.
Okay.
On,
putting in all these machines all across the
we
country.
have, what would you say, Brad, over 100 volunteers?
Yeah, I would say about 100 to handle the hospitals, and what we have in the hospitals is you have your primary volunteer, and we
Hold on just a second, Brad. I can bring
Yeah.
this over to you so that I don't want anybody to miss a word.
No.
If you don't mind. You don't want to talk to the microphone?
I can use it.
Yay, thanks, Brad.
Yeah, I'm not asked to sing. So yeah, at these 62 hospitals, these 62 locations, by default you have 62 techs. That's the baseline. So we have 1 to handle each machine, but we also work to get backup techs. So if someone is unavailable, what we've had in certain situations, they start a young family, something like that, where they just can't dedicate the time anymore at the hospital, and some of them try to extend themselves beyond what they should. In that meantime, so that's where we're looking to have someone to back them up. And it's important, the communication, I'm the one who communicates directly with these technicians, and the charity, as Dan can allude to, the support that the technicians are given is anything they need, the charity is responsible for. So we don't want them to have to spend their money. They're volunteering their time, not all their resources beyond that.
So you can see the way our charity gets people like Brad that's very dedicated. We have Sandy, his wife, she's an honorary member as well. And then we have Taj right beside, and she's part of our marketing department as well.
And shout out to Sierra, who is not here, but she is also a strong backbone to the charity.
Yeah, I couldn't do what I do without her. She's just an amazing.
I think she's who replied to my email and why I'm here. I found out about Project Pinball, and they had a raffle, and I was like, I got $65 for that. Didn't win the raffle. That's okay.
No, but then you're like,
that's
still going to charities.
But yeah, then I said that since I had their email, I sent them an email. I was like, I fundraise. What can I do for you? I want a pinball machine. Yes, but I want more people to have pinball machines. Is the point. So
we've seen people that won pinball machines in the past, and they're still entering.
And they're still entering to get another pinball machine. Why wouldn't you?
So either they think that they're really lucky, or they love our charity. So I think they love our charity.
Both. We love your charity. We love your charity. What can I ask you what you do for marketing? What's the best marketing to get the message out for them?
The best marketing.
Yeah, you're the marketing specialist. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. No.
What do you do to market?
What do I do to market?
Yeah, I don't know. What kind of ads is it?
Oh, let's see. Sarah and I work together on it most of the time. So, yeah, our main one is Network for Good. We do a lot of Network for Good. We have a lot of email blasts that go out. That's where we announce our new raffles. So if you want to give me your email.
I will.
Yeah.
What's Network for Good?
Yeah, so that is a website that gets used for all kinds of charities. So basically we can communicate to all of our contacts. So we can do email blasts, we can do texts, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So lots of emails there. Other than that, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. I think that's pretty much all of them, yeah. But we do a lot of Facebook Live videos for announcing raffles, all kinds of updates. Like we were promoting this a couple weeks ago, so yeah.
something up on YouTube maybe now too?
Yeah,
like
we
all
have
that?
YouTube as well. Yeah, go follow our YouTube channel. We do live updates on there too. So.
And the YouTube channel name is?
Project Pinball Charities. You can pretty much find us anywhere with that name. So yeah.
Perfect. Great. Thanks for that.
And she's very modest. She's just an excellent writer. She takes whatever idea I come up with while it's rough and she just smooths it out. I mean, she just has a great compassion with her that just shows right through. So I appreciate you.
Very cool. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody? Yeah. Coming right at you.
It's not really a question.
It's not a question.
It's not a question, but I just wanted to tell you, Amoto, that you're wonderful. So, I just bought 2 raffles for each of the 3 machines that are up now on the raffle. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. I'm glad you're here.
That's so touching, Todd. I never heard you speechless before.
Now get out!
Anybody else have any other questions, thoughts, statements? Anything? Oh.
I just have, it's not really rude. It's kind of stupid, you know, with the pandemic and everything, how do you keep the machines, you know, you think that's a lot of germs, and the kids are in hospitals, and do you wipe them down, or, you know, what's
Great question.
I just kept thinking that throughout the whole, you know, your interview, so I was like,
Well, that's one of the questions we get asked a lot, because they're worried about the safety of their playroom. Just like any toy that would be in there, they want to know if they could sanitize it, clean it, maybe in between families. And we came back, we went to Stern and did an engineering judgment where they sat down as a committee and said, yeah, you can use any kind of cleaner that would be used in that setting on a machine, and it will not hurt it. And that's what we've seen to this day. We haven't seen any kind of cleaner or any kind of, you know, destruction to the machine from what they're doing. And, you know, as people can contest, these things were in rough, maybe arcades, like Rupert was saying, you know, beat on them. And they're made to take that kind of beating. So whatever a children's hospital comes up with, I don't think it's going to reach the limit.
yeah.
So we're, you know, we try to educate them on how easy it is to have a machine and operate it in that setting.
And how to clean it, keep it clean.
And during the pandemic, I just remember this, one of the Ronald McDonald homes would have a sign-up sheet. So the families would get the scheduled time, and they were isolated in the family room, and they could go in and, you know, just be a family playing. And then afterwards, the cleaning crew would come in between the next family coming in. And I thought that was fantastic. That was a way that they figured out how to keep their family rooms open.
That's pretty smart, scheduling it like that. Any other thoughts, questions, statements? I had one and I just had a brain blip. Let me see if I wrote it down. Oh, okay, so the story that you told is very moving, of course. And I'm sure you learned a lot of stories and heard a lot of stories through, was it 4 years of making this documentary? Is that right?
We started the documentary 4 years ago.
Yeah.
February of 2018.
Yeah.
So,
and that's kind of around the time I had heard about Project Pinball a little bit before that, when I started my journey into pinball around 2014-15, and then when I finally met Dan at one of the conventions, maybe it was Southern Fried Gaming Expo in my backyard about that, and learned about what they were doing, I was just like, let me go with you and let me bring my camera, please. And so, you know, with doing everything else, with work and life and family, you know, any chance I would get with that pocket of time to go with them to a dedication or to check out, you know, their headquarters down in Fort Myers, like, I would push to take that. So, you know, we weren't filming for 4 years straight, but, you know, it's just, and then you have all this footage, and how do you narrow it down into 20 minutes of digestible content that shows, like, the whole point of this piece is to just really show everyone what Project Pinball does, how to get involved, and the kind of impact it has on the people.
So how do you do that as a storyteller? How do you take 4 years of interviews and distill it down into 20 minutes? Are there, as they said, what was it, in high school, they said you have to, when I would write, and they would say, no, you have to edit that out and cut it out. You have to lose the ones you love. Are there stories that you wanted to tell that you didn't have time to tell, that you might tell later? Is this...
You know, it's amazing, when people learn about Project Pinball, it instantly connects to their synapses, and so you start getting the same type of stories or sound bites, really, of why pinball can help, you know, in a hospital setting, what it does to family members, how it brings community together. So as the storyteller and the editor, you know, I have 10 different people saying this same beautiful thing over, and you just kind of have to decide really which one, like, really you feel it in your heart, I guess, and that's a really hard thing to do, and to decide what to cut, like, hours and hours of footage, but, you know, it's difficult content. As far as, like, the editing process, also why it took so long was it's emotionally draining. So I would be able to sit there for 20 minutes and edit, and cry, you take a break, go play pinball, and then come back, and when I'm gain my composure, you know, kind of, okay, let's get to this part and stuff, and, you know, taking the breaks in between editing sessions, and then remembering, you know, the people that you spent time with during these dedications, and seeing their impact. Is like, it's the floodgates open, you know, you just remember every kind of nuance of that moment, and it's really special, but it's like, yeah, it's tough. So it took a while to figure out how to kind of whittle it down into something digestible.
Glad you did whittle it down, thanks, because we've really enjoyed your documentary. Do we have any other questions, thoughts, statements, anything? How about this? So the two of you didn't know each other before you met at the Southern Fried Pinball Convention, yeah? Pinball conventions, this is a thing that happens a lot around the country?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? So how many pinball conventions a year are there, would you say?
Good night. I don't know. Maybe like 30 now. It seems like there's, well, not one every weekend, but at least several a month all across the world, really. Most of them in the US. You know, we just came from Pinball Expo a week or so ago, and next week is Houston Arcade Expo, which Todd and I will be there with Skillshot Baby, and the weekend after that's Free Play Florida and Orlando. It just keeps going and going. Yeah.
Right, so it's nonstop.
Nonstop. And it's cool because they're all so different, and it's all different pinball communities in each of those sections. So it's not like, oh, you have a cool pinball show in your backyard, I'm just gonna only go to that one. I recommend everyone kind of exploring the different communities because they're all so vibrant and filled with amazing people, and you're just gonna love it and have a great time.
And she's right about the amazing people. Some of my best friends are the ones that I met through the pinball community, and it's been really short time span. I mean, it's just amazing people out there, and I'm sure that other hobbies could say the same thing, but pinball, you know, being a pinhead myself, I could relate to the other pinheads out there. So, you know, it's just a great family. It really is. And these shows, you know, where do you get to see so much artistry? And, you know, just the engineering is incredible. credible on these. And just
I will say too, that really makes pinball shows cool. Like you walk into this room and there's say like 100 pinball machines and arcade games on free play. Those are all donated by the local community for that weekend. So people pull all of their games out of their houses and then put them into this one room for all of us to celebrate and have fun. And that just, like, community effort is just so amazing.
Speaking of community effort, by the way, I keep wanting to ask, any questions? Anybody spurred any? Yes. Okay. What's your question?
Well, it's actually just more of like, kind of just a statement, but just wanted to thank you guys for the work you're doing. It's amazing. And I plan on now donating, definitely. It would be nice to have a pinball machine, but know that it's also going for a great cause. So, yeah.
Still try to win one.
Every month. Yeah. And speaking of tournaments, there's actually one coming up next weekend at a local restaurant here called La Margarita. So it's nice to get the community together, and yeah, I love playing pinball. So. Thanks for coming. Yeah, thank you.
Well, all right, that segues into, so she'd like to donate. I know I've already donated. So tell us all the ways that we can help make a difference and donate to Project Pinball.
I didn't hear the question.
What are the different ways that we can donate to Project Pinball? Are there straight up donations? Are you taking donations in the back? There's the raffle, there's...
We make it so easy.
Tell us more.
One is, you heard about the raffles. It's a really fun way to try to win the pinball machine and help us at the same time. So you could just go to our website, projectpinball.org, and you could see raffles on there. It'll say who we are, what we're about. It will actually show where all the hospitals are, and then you could get into the raffles and you could donate through there. We do have a donate button on every single page, so you could always click that, and I believe it's still set up with PayPal, so we could do that. You could send us a check, I could give you our address. Whatever it takes, you know. And a lot of people, I was saying earlier, when we're here in this location, 100% of that money stays local in the community. When we were in Chicago, 100% of that money stays in Chicagoland. So, you know, if people are donating today, they can feel the impact in their own community. Because you have children's hospitals here, you have Ronald McDonald House here. Why would we take that money from your backyard and move it to, say, California? It wouldn't make sense. We want this to be a local charity, and you guys make that happen here. So, but yeah, on Facebook also, we have donate buttons all over the place. So you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter. Come on, help me out here. Instagram,
YouTube.
I think we're on MySpace also.
Are you?
Keeping it real.
We get old school.
So this is what I always ask my clients as well when I'm working with them with fundraising for nonprofits, is if people can't donate with their dollars, how do they donate with their time? You said that you have 100 volunteers working for you?
Yeah, we, just today or yesterday, we had a gentleman come up and said, I repair pinball machines. So that's one of the components that we need to become local, because if you guys are familiar with a pinball machine, you could understand there's stuck balls that happen, that stop the gameplay. And for me to get a phone call down in Fort Myers, Florida, and jump on the plane and come here to get a stuck ball would make sense as a charity. So we rely on local people to help us out in that regards. People could hold fundraisers, you know, locally.
Tournament fundraisers is a great thing that a lot of arcades do across the country, or just people, live streamers will do like live stream fundraisers for Project Pinball.
Those are really nice.
You know, just, yeah, any way to reach out. Really, it's just spread the message and help get people involved to get more pinball machines in hospitals and other facilities that will help people.
Well, don't forget the bake sales. Because people always ask, how do I do a fundraiser? And I always go back and say, do something you're comfortable with. I mean, remember when we were coming up through, school, like elementary school, always had bake sales. So have a bake sale.
Oh, a bake sale?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can make some cookies for fun. I thought you said bank sale, and I was like, how do you do
Rob
that?
your bank.
Yeah. That's what I was my master.
To an end, I suppose, robbing a bank.
No, if you're a good baker, bake some cookies, sell, donate.
So are there any thoughts that I keep asking them if they have any questions, but do you have anything that hasn't been said about Project Pinball yet that you'd like to get out and let people know about?
Well, before I do that, I want to say that in such
Don't
a
make
huge
me cry
threat-
again, please.
No, she was expressing, just very quickly how emotional it is being behind the camera. While we were filming this, there was real tears, and there was pauses that we all huddled together to just share emotion. And I haven't, remembered some of this. I haven't thought about it in 4 years, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Emotionally, I was in tears back there because, she captured that. She captured a story that sometimes is really hard to express. It started off with what I could empathize with, my family, problems that we had, and the whole family went through it. And it's really difficult to talk about, but I think it puts me in a place where I can relate to other people that, have the same thing going on in their life. And I might not understand 100% what you're dealing with, but I could relate to what I'm dealing with. And, she was able to capture that. I mean, she just did a fantastic job. Connie was just amazing in the video. And Sharon, Doug and Tyler.
One thing I would like to say is that there isn't pinball machines in the Indianapolis Children's Hospitals or Fort Wayne Children's Hospital, and we'd love to see them because look at the impact it does for those people. We may never know who it impacts personally. We'll never meet them, but know that you're changing people's lives by doing this.
And you're changing people's lives. Another round of applause for them. We're going to wrap up the Q&A so that we can have some more time playing pinball in the back, and we'll release them, and maybe we'll want to chit-chat with them one-on-one, and maybe we don't want to have a microphone thrown in our face. That's perfectly fine, too. And I think that's just wraps it up. James, you want to come up to the mic and podium or
Podiumness or micness?
Yeah.
Again, we just gave a round of applause. Let's also give a round of applause to Roseanne. She did a great job on the fly there. Now we are wrapping this year's Carmel Film Forum. So thank you for everybody for coming over and hanging out with us and learning a little bit about film and enjoying your favorite hobby, pinball. There is an evaluation form in back. If you could tell us you needed more bathroom breaks. We got that one year. We never stay on time, but I'm a filmmaker. I always like the emotions to come out. I'll sit there and wait for the film, the ideas to come out. So, but we're doing our best to fulfill those things and learn about them and evolve our project. We hope to be here next year. We're gonna fill out another grant, see if they like us again. We have no idea what we're doing yet, but it'll be something film related. So thank you very much. If you want to learn more about what we do at the Carmel Film Forum, you can go check out my moriartymedia.com, or you can contact me directly at james@moriartymedia.com. All these things have curriculum. All these things have photographs taken. All the photographs will be posted online for you to tag and enjoy and have a good time. So get some nice shots on the backdrop here. Bring your full family together underneath the pinball backdrop, grab Brandy, and get some nice documentation shots of all of what you're doing, please. If he hasn't already gotten it, of course. I'm sure he has. And that's it. So thank you guys very much. Thanks everybody for participating. Thank the Project Pinball people for coming all this way. Thank for all we have pinball machines at the library. I thought that was pretty cool. And thank the library for putting up with us and letting us, again, be here in this beautiful new space. So, again, that's it. What? No. Thank you, my friend.